Hey everybody, time for a new word balloon. Welcome, Happy New Year. It's John Suntress closing out 2017, ushering in 2018 with my good buddy Mike Norton. I went to 4-Star Studios on Friday and recorded this conversation. Jim Terry pops up at the end and we talk about, movies and whatnot. But of course, it was an interesting year for Mike. Spurred on by the election of Donald Trump, Mike started a comic strip that has become nationally syndicated by Go Comics. Go Comics is a legit syndicator. Tribune uses their stuff. I know in Chicago Tribune. I mean, they've got top newspaper comics. Mike's comic is digital. It's Lil Donnie. And as you've heard, it's become a curse and a blessing, or you will hear when you hear Mike talk about it. But it's very funny. If you don't share these politics, you may not find it funny. I happen to. And it's very interesting. And Mike even said what started out as just this kind of honest artistic reaction has become its own thing that he feels obligated to stay committed to. And it's very interesting hearing his thoughts on making the strip and the strip finding its audience. So we talk about that. We talk about Battlepug. He's doing a DC comic right now called Mystic U, which features a very young Zatanna and a bunch of other young DC Universe magicians, magic people, kind of learning their craft. It's another interesting book that Mike said he probably wouldn't have done on his own, but he's enjoying himself. And it's just a good casual conversation. I love talking to the 4-Star guys, all of them, truly. Sean Dove, Ryan Brown, Jim Terry, Mike Norton, and Tim Seeley. And we heard Tim last week. So they're kind of semi-regulars on Word Balloon, especially because they're local guys. Good chance to catch up with Mike Norton and see what's been going on with him. So that's our conversation today. Happy New Year, Mr. Norton, on today's Word Balloon. Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you, League, for your support. 2017 was a very rocky year, personally. I got let go of my full-time radio job back in November of 2016. I had no idea how things were going to play out. Things have improved. Not to the point where I have a full-time radio job, but I have a very good part-time radio job. And also, thanks to the generosity and support of the League of Word Balloon listeners, I've been able to keep the lights on, pay the bills, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, truly, for helping me get through a rough year. Word Balloon, if you'd like to subscribe to it, it's free. It'll always be free. But if you want to help out the cause, you can go to patreon.com/wordballoon. We were all a little worried at the beginning of the month. It sounded like Patreon was going to change things. They haven't. So if you didn't get the update, Patreon is not taking more service fees from you subscribers rather than the content creators, as they had been doing, and all of us were fine with that arrangement. They changed their minds and thankfully are going to continue business as they had been doing. And again, us content creators will pay the service fees, rightfully so. So I'm really glad that Patreon had a change of heart. Listen to the audience. Listen to us content providers. So if you want to support Word Balloon, go to patreon.com/wordballoon or go to wordballoon.com and click on the Patreon ad there. Thank you very much for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by In-Stock Trades at instocktrades.com. And there are some great trades that are available now for In-Stock Trades as we go into the first week of January. Here's some great deals. A lot of these I think were from last week. The Batman Brave and Bold Bronze Age Omnibus. Bob Haney, Ross Andrew, among other artists. Great stuff, man. This is covering Brave and Bold 74 through 91. Really some of the prime Brave and Bold stuff. It's 50% off, just $17.49. You can get Black Panther, Man Without Fear, the complete collection. David Liss's take on the Black Panther, drawn by the incredible Francesco Francavilla. One of my favorite takes when, during Shadowland, when Black Panther took over for, Hell's Kitchen and being the guardian of Hell's Kitchen. Great series, man. 50% off, $17.49. You can also reach way back to a classic Black Panther story, Panther's Quest. Don McGregor, the great Don McGregor, one of the fantastic Black Panther writers of the Bronze Age. Gene Colan, the great Gene Colan, doing the interiors. Plus, you got an amazing Bill Reinhold cover. Great collection, man. I'm telling you. This is from Marvel Comics Presents 13 through 37. That was the weekly, I believe, of Marvel Comics. 50% off. It's $14.99. Can you hear my dryer in the background as I'm spinning? Gotta get clean clothes for work tonight, man. I'm telling you. Saga Volume 8. This is, of course, Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples. It's a great run, and it continues to be. It's 45% off, $8.24. Just a few of the great books that are available now at instocktrades.com. Don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. Great books at great prices, instocktrades.com. Without further ado, let us begin our conversation with Mike Norton to wrap up 2017 and usher in 2018, now on Word Balloon. All right, I'm at 4-Star Studios, hanging out on the couch with Mike Norton, and it's usually when I'm in this area, it's an after-hours party going on. And
well, you can see the stains that I've left, the beer stains all over the floor.
Like the tracks of your tears. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. It was a fun party, thank you. And it was great because I'm like, hey, let's talk next week. Like, yeah, sure. And at that point, I could have said, like, let's, illumine inside your house. Yeah.
I didn't remember saying that. I don't remember
it's okay.
it. I mean, that literally is from where I dropped something and I fell over and hit this couch. And the next day, I felt like somebody had beat me up. My neck ache has just now gone away.
But you're responsible. That's all right. And,
Oh, yeah, I mean, I didn't go driving afterwards.
Right,
but,
so it's okay. That's fine. You slept it off. All right, well, good. Well, now we're talking. Welcome, buddy.
Hello. As I'm drinking from a jug
yes, you are,
while
really.
I'm talking to you.
Could you play the banjo while we talk as well, please?
I wanted to, but I can't.
Did you really?
Yeah, well, I had this aspiration in high school that I wanted to learn all the stringed instruments.
Interesting.
But I didn't.
Did you stop at, like, lute? Or not, lute's
No,
not, by the way, lute's not a string instrument.
In Jackson, Tennessee. I was like guitar, bass, mandolin.
Yeah.
And then I picked up a violin, and I was like, I don't know how to make a sound on this thing. So I was like, well, okay, there goes that.
That's great. You have had a fun 2017, and I think one of the, I want to start off with maybe one of the unexpected things that you kind of fell into, and that's writing and drawing Lil Donnie.
I wouldn't call that fun.
Yeah, well, exactly, man. No, and honestly, that's part of one of my questions. Is it, obviously, you're finding humor in this, but also at the same time, you're angry. So is it a combination of both that's fueling this strip?
I mean, it's either this or make death threats to him on Twitter every day, which I'm almost there. So, I mean, that's what I did. It was my way of coping. And now I've kind of dug myself into a hole that I can't really get out of. I started something, and now, once you start something, if you say, now I'm not going to do it, then you're kind of quitting. And I don't want to quit before he does.
I understand. But, you've stumbled into something that really, no matter how it ends and when it ends, is a document of our times. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I'm glad that I did it. I'm not saying that, don't look at my comic strip. I made it for people to look at. But at the same time, it was just like, it was definitely a, hey, look at me, I'm making fun of this guy. I didn't mean it to be like some high piece of art. It's the lowest of art, actually. It's me insulting somebody, and other people found comfort in it too. So I mean, it's a new thing that I did, and I'm proud that I tried something new. 2 years ago, if you told me I'd be a political cartoonist, nobody and I wouldn't have believed you. So, I mean, it is a different sort of thing. When I was a kid, I didn't think I would be a syndicated cartoonist either, and now I am, so it's different. But yeah, I hate that guy, and it's basically just me being petty. So, I mean, it's like, I don't ever want to forget that I might be like putting a higher title on something that's just me being an asshole. But he was an asshole first. So.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. And also, prior to doing this, you did a brief after Lost. Lost really inspired, I think. Would that be your first strip?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've done strips before, but it takes something that's really won't get out of my head. And Lost was in my head for a long time, so I made Lost comic strips and people like those. But not to the extent that, like, this guy is...
Yeah.
Lost was a cultural phenomenon, and I guess you could say that this guy is too, but he, people have forgotten that Lost was a show. Nobody's going to forget this guy, unfortunately.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. So is it easy to pick strip ideas?
No.
Or, okay. Yeah, talk to me about it.
It is one of the most difficult. Sometimes sometimes the strips just come to you and they're like, okay, this is a funny insult. I never think of them as jokes. I was like, this is a funny insult. But then I have to like make it so that I don't look stupid. Like when you draw the comic, it's like I need to look like I'm a smart person too. So I have to make a joke and make it look like I am a professional cartoonist and know what I'm doing. And that's the difficult part. Coming up with a slam on somebody is unfortunately very easy. But making it into a joke is tougher. That's why everybody says, this writes itself. And it's like, no, it's easy to slam somebody, but it's not easy to try and make it seem clever.
Yeah, it's a mini sketch every time you do a strip.
Well, sketches are even easier because sketches, somebody tells you what to do. You just
No. I mean like comedy sketch when I say sketch.
Yeah,
you're right though.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's like a mini comedy sketch because it's a scene. It's a scene
like that because you have to craft it so that it's like, well, this is too long, and if you use this words and this combination, it's not as funny as if you do this and that kind of stuff. And it's things you don't think about when you're writing other things. Certainly not when you're. Like when I write Battlepug and it's just like, well, I'll just put something stupid here and then somebody punches something. And here you have to like think about, I used this word in this panel, so I can't use it in this panel because then it cuts off the humor of what I said there, that kind of thing. It's trickier than I thought. And it wasn't what I was expecting when I started because now I have to do it. And so I get up on Monday and I was like, well, I really need to finish this comic book, but I can't because I got to spend 3 hours drawing this crap that I didn't need to do. Nobody told me to. I don't get paid for it.
I was going to ask, really?
Well, I mean, Go Comics is a per-click company. I mean, I have a contract there and I have a guarantee, but it's a very small guarantee. And I don't make money off of it.
Okay. Will you collect it, though? And certainly now that we're going into year 2, do you see yourself collecting each year?
I want to collect it, but I haven't really put a lot of thought into it.
Okay.
It's the most requested thing I've had this year.
I bet.
A collection for it, but I haven't really put any thought into putting it together yet.
Okay.
Because when I'm not drawing it, I'm drawing other stuff, and I'm more concentrated on that.
Because that's
really. I mean, I feel like if I was as obsessed as over this guy, I probably would go crazy. I'd be angry all the time, and I'm not angry all the time because I don't know why.
Well, you're living your life as we should, even though this is an upsetting time. You can't let it consume you, obviously, and some people have let it consume them.
Yeah, and they're not fun people.
No, I agree. Is it doing the... Oh, and I didn't mean to interrupt if you got...
No, I wasn't saying anything.
All right, there we go.
Nothing important.
Is it mostly 4 panels? Do you try to limit yourself to...
No, I don't. I do whatever I feel like doing.
Okay.
It's harder when it's more than 4 panels, but I started out doing a lot of panels because I wanted... You were saying it was like a sketch, and that's what I was like, trying to make it what I picture in my head if this was like a little skit. And a lot of time that requires more. Writing strips is difficult. That 4-panel or 3-panel formula, there's an art to it that I haven't necessarily mastered. And even if you do master it, there's very hard constrictions to it to make a funny joke in 4 panels, and sometimes I have to do more or do less, you know.
Have you met any other comic book people that do strips and have talked to, or anybody that's doing, whether it's web strip or newspaper strip stuff, and talked to them at all about doing strip-like formats?
No, I mean, I know a lot of people, like back in Memphis, I knew more cartoonists than I did comic book artists.
Okay.
And so, like...
Were they locals or were they syndicated?
Yeah, Greg Cravens, who draws the buckets, lives in Memphis.
Okay,
and
sure.
He's a Jackson boy like I am.
Cool.
And, there are a couple other people locally that draw comic strips. And I never, like, picked their brain about it because, in my mind, that's not what I ever wanted to do. You know, I didn't care.
Sure.
I mean, I did a strip in my college newspaper. I knew it was difficult.
Okay.
That's all.
And since doing, now you haven't talked to anybody about?
No.
You know?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm not good about asking people for help. You know, I never really ask anybody's opinion, and when I do, I usually don't listen to them when I do it.
Okay. I know a few months ago I told you, I wondered if, you're staying away from, like, Doonsebury or anything, and your response was?
What did I say? I don't read Doonsebury?
Yeah, you were.
I never read it.
Well,
I don't think it's funny.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
I never thought it was funny when I was a kid, and I never got any funnier.
That's fine.
But I mean, that says more about me than him. I mean, my stuff is very immature, and he's like trying to like be clever, and I'm like, no. I'm going to put an actual fart joke in this one.
Well, I like both, and honestly, I mean, yeah, you're not obliged to like something even though it's successful, so that's okay. But yeah, I was wondering, the other side of the political comic spectrum are the editorial cartoonists. Yeah, and I love a really good editorial cartoon, as I'm sure you do.
Sure, I mean they're very the thing because I've paid a lot of attention to them now. I mean, I always liked editorial cartoons when I was a kid for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's the style that they all seem to have. They all seem to like run with that same sort of illustrative style. I thought that was kind of a neat thing that they all did that. But the thing I notice now is, and it's something I concentrate on not doing in my strip, is that no matter how good the likeness is, they always have to write down who somebody is in something. And I feel like that's either you're not confident in your storytelling ability or you think everybody's stupid that's reading this. And so I just decided not to do that at all.
I wonder if that's editors that make them do that too.
I don't know.
Just to be like safe.
But it's like that may be the style because ever since editorial cartoons started, they did that.
That's true. Absolutely.
So I just don't. Okay. Because I was like, if you don't know who this is, then I failed.
I understand. Have you seen that HBO documentary about Herb Block?
No.
Do you know who Herb Block was? Herb Block was a Washington Post cartoonist, and doing both really great humor and really poignant ones. He's the one that, if you may have seen in history books, when JFK was assassinated, the shot of Lincoln on the Lincoln Memorial crying, that was Herb Block. And a lot of great Watergate cartoons were Herb Block and stuff like that.
I'll have to look at that.
It's amazing, honestly.
I'll have to look at that. I'm talking like my wife's parents now. They're farmers and they don't say watch TV, they say look at TV. You gonna look at that show tonight? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna look at it.
That's farm talk. I can appreciate
it. Is farm talk.
Totally, man. Yeah, I don't have time to watch it, man. I'll look at it, but I've got other stuff I got to get done.
Well, my family was farmers too, and they never said look at.
So is that an Iowa thing? Must be an Iowa thing.
It must be an Iowa thing, I guess.
That's excellent, man. So it's weekly, right? The Lil Donnie?
I try to do it at least twice a week.
Okay.
At first I was doing 3 times, sometimes 4.
Wow.
But I was fired up at the beginning.
Sure.
And now, the irony being, like, as soon as I got on GoComics.com, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's become more like 2. I'm trying not to do just one, but I've slowed down here at the end of the year.
Okay. Have any surprising media sites picked up that you're doing it beyond? I'm sure the comic journalists have all picked up that you're doing
nobody seems to notice except like every time I go to a convention, people who come up to the table like whisper it over the table is, I really like what you're doing. Like they're going to get arrested.
That's right. All right, bring him in.
And then also a lot of professionals like Mike Carlin at DC told me that he reads it all the time. And
That's
I'm like,
fantastic.
really?
That's great.
And so like a lot of Doug Hazelwood, like I was in Mexico and all these like professionals said that they read it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you even knew who I was. But yeah, it's surprising the stuff that like I try to get noticed with like the comic book stuff, and this is what everybody knows me for.
Go Comics, is it like do you know your readership there? I mean, you want to?
I don't for sure. I have subscribers, and I don't have that many. Like I have more followers on Twitter than I do subscribers at Go Comics.
Okay.
But
well, I know I look at it on Facebook when you post.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's hard to quantify. I do get click reports, but I've only had one, and it was only up for like 3 weeks before I got that.
Oh, okay.
Like, so every quarter.
Sure.
So I'll find out at the beginning of the year.
Interesting.
How well I do, I guess.
Okay. Well, and I know
I get a lot of hate mail for it. So.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure you do. I'm sure there's an organized band that doesn't even read it, but is happy to send you hate mail
sure.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. I mean, that's where we are right now.
Well, you know, I'm more scared of the people on Go Comics that like it than I am the people that hate it because they make crazy posts too. So they like I don't know. Don't say I'm your friend just because we got common goals here.
Would you want to do a Reddit or something like that, or any sort of like Q&A about it?
I guess.
To the audience.
I mean, if it was just constantly like saying bye to people calling me a snowflake, then it probably wouldn't be super fun. But I mean, sure, if people wanted to ask questions, I'll answer them. I always answer questions.
Based on this conversation.
I don't really initiate conversations if you know
I understand
me very well.
But you really have hit a thing that. I'm glad that, Go Comics is part of it. I'm glad you're thinking about collecting it at some point.
I have to thank Caleb Gellner for doing that because he was working at Go Comics, and Caleb's a comic book creator in his own right. And he said, hey, you should submit this. And so I did, and then it got in there. I mean, he's not the guy that decides that stuff. He was just like working there.
Another cartoonist.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he had a strip either. I think he was like on staff somewhere else in that company.
Is Go Comics here? Is it because I know this line is
Kansas City?
Okay.
It's Andrews McMeel Syndicate.
Oh wow.
Andrews McMeel Universal. So it's the old comic. Syndicate.
Yeah. Holy cow.
So
okay,
that's why I say I'm the syndicated cartoonist.
Jesus, man. Yeah. That's crazy.
So it's not printed in any comics.
Any newspaper comics.
Yeah. I mean, no newspapers, which is the defining qualification to submit it for a Pulitzer.
Oh
I
man!
Found out.
Yeah, so because it's not in a physical paper, even though you're in a newspaper syndicate.
Yeah, I had a friend.
Go on.
I have a friend for the New York Times who was like, "You need to submit this." And I'm like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah. Here's the qualifications." Like, I don't think I qualify. So.
Oh man, God, that sucks, man.
It sucks because the prize is like $15,000. And I was like, I don't. I guess I could say I won a Pulitzer and people would know what that is, but I would really like $15,000 right now. That would be pretty cool.
I have a feeling if you publish this, that you will make $15,000, and especially I would again, as your booster, suggest doing each year because then you'll get like 4 trades out of it, And also. Seriously, man. I mean, you could I don't know if there's been a catchphrase or anything like that that's come of the strip, but you could make T-shirts. I mean, you really could go to town on this fucking thing.
I kind of stayed away from doing merchandise.
Okay.
Because I feel icky making money off of
a terrible situation. Yeah.
I don't want anything with this guy's face on it.
I understand that
I made
too.
money with.
I understand. I respect
that. In fact, a lot of the publishers that I've talked to about collecting it, we've discussed like a portion of proceeds going to charity sort of thing.
That's awesome. And I know at the beginning of the year, you kind of adopted as a charity the Southern Legal Defense.
No, I
didn't you? Or
I did. I donated a lot to them, but what I was doing is like every convention I've gone to this year, I've donated everything I made to charity that like actively works against policies.
Yes.
And Southern Poverty Law Center was definitely one of them. We've given a bunch to them, but yeah, I've chosen a lot of. There was we gave it to the No Dapple people, so many human rights campaign,
that's great.
the Matthew Shepard thing. There's what's the Emily's list?
Yes.
Like, I can't even think. I can't remember all of them.
Is Julie helping you?
She helps pick out a bunch of them.
Your wife, yeah.
Yeah, my wife. She helps me pick out some of them.
Julie's a social worker for people who don't know.
Yeah, well,
so.
I mean, it's not quite social work she does now, but she does work with, housing for developmentally disabled and poor. So
that's awesome.
She helps pick that stuff up.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I give away the money that I make at shows, which sometimes isn't a lot, because sometimes I don't make a lot.
Sure.
But it's like, it really doesn't matter. It's not what I'm making my living off of, so it doesn't hurt me to give it away.
Okay.
So.
Well, I love it, and I'm really happy that you were inspired to do it because I think it's showing different muscles that you have.
I was telling somebody, I was like, it's literally the least I could do. As a person in my situation in the United States right now, literally the least I could do is say I'm not on board with this, and then give money to people that are suffering from it. That is literally the least I could do.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's great, and congratulations on you being inspired to do it, and I'm glad you're doing it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, congratulations to me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, you
doing a decent thing.
Absolutely, man.
Hey.
Well, all right. So, and forgive me, I did not know you were doing this new DC book. So
what?
I know I feel terrible.
Finger on the pulse of DC Comics.
What is Mike Norton
for younger
doing now?
New readers?
Exactly. So Mystic You.
Yeah, it's Alisa Kwitney, who used to be a Vertigo editor, and now she's been writing young adult novels.
Very cool.
It's a mini series. They're trying this out for newer readers, but it works within current DC continuity.
Okay.
So it's kind of like this Elseworlds, but not Elseworlds sort of thing.
Okay. Kind of like Gotham Academy and some of these other.
Yeah, sort of like
same
that.
Vein.
It's outside the realm, but if you decided, hey, this is going on while Batman's being Batman, it works.
That's cool. Matt Wagner was like that with a lot of, like Madame Xanadu.
Yeah.
He's like, they say it's not continuity. As far as I'm concerned, it is, and I'm certainly like playing in the DC universe.
Also, Madame Xanadu, big part of the series.
There you go. Yeah, give me the roster of Mystic You.
Well, it's a younger Zatanna in Magic School, so it's Zatanna.
Teenage Zatanna, basically.
Yeah, basically her and Felix Faust's son.
Funny.
Sebastian.
Sure.
Sargon the Sorcerer.
Lovely. That was an original Fawcett character.
Yeah.
Sargon.
Yeah, and we've updated him for today.
Okay.
And a lot of old obscure characters are on the faculty.
I always love. Is Dr. Occult possibly?
He is a main character.
I love Dr.
I'm drawing him right now.
Big fan.
Yeah.
One of the original, like in action number one.
He and Rose Psychic are like the crux of this story.
Who's Rose Psychic?
He's like his other half.
Oh.
In this, yeah.
I
So they're
realize
like
that.
two sides of the same coin.
Oh, interesting. I had no.
Yeah.
The only times I really remember seeing Dr. Occult was in things like Crisis,
Yeah.
where he was just kind of trench coat mystic.
Yeah. If he's here, that means Rose Psychic is in his head somewhere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Rose Psychic is here, that means he's gone.
Oh, very funny.
And so yeah, Frankenstein's in it.
Oh, great. That's great. You know, I was wondering that, and I'm due to talk to Lemire soon, and I loved how he brought him back. That was like one of the few New 52 ideas that I really liked.
Definitely different. He's not wearing his Sergeant Pepper outfit and stuff. He's teaching class and stuff. Yeah.
He's not the gym teacher? I would assume he'd be the gym teacher.
Oh, they really... You know what?
So you need me.
You should have told Alisa that. That would have been him in the short shorts. That would have been perfect.
Sweatshirt whistle.
Yes, that's exactly how that should have gone
Sid
down.
Caesar, like in Grease, absolutely, man.
Oh, man.
I will talk to Alisa.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, you should. You should have her on the show.
I want to.
She's probably got tons of like old Vertigo stories.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. That's great.
But it's like that Cain and Abel.
Oh, great. Very funny.
A couple of Night Force members.
Okay. Is the guy with the sword Nightshade?
Oh, no, he's not in there.
Nightshade, am I right?
Yes. I have put him in the background.
Oh, okay.
So I think,
I'm getting his name wrong because I think Nightshade is.
Is it Shining Knight?
No, it wasn't Shining Knight.
It's the other guy that was in
Willingham's book.
Yeah. So Blue Devil I put in there.
Cool.
So a lot of those characters.
Yeah, but that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And that's smart because obviously one of the conceits of having a book like this too is, hey, put so-and-so in so we can keep the copyright going and everything.
Right.
You know?
The problem with this is that they're not mentioned, so it's like I'm just putting those in there so people will
fun.
See there. So the three witches from like the old House of Mystery kind of stuff.
Sure.
All that. A lot of House of Mysteries. Because House of Mystery and House of Secrets are part of the campus.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's a different kind of book than I fit in it perfectly, but it's a different kind of book than the kind I read. So it's fun to draw, but not necessarily the sort of thing that I would have picked.
I understand.
So it's been really kind of neat to do.
How far into it are you?
I'm a little over halfway done with the last issue.
And have more than one issue come out?
Yeah, there are three double-sized issues.
Fantastic.
So it'll be like a 6-issue series when it's done.
That's great. Oh, my God.
So the first one just came out last month. So there's one due soon.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, maybe the first week of January.
Yeah, Jordi Belair's coloring it.
Lovely.
And it looks amazing. It's some of the best stuff I've had colored. So I have like 3 colorists that I work with, and she's one of them now.
That's terrific.
It's just like I usually have Alan Paslockwood, Mark Englert, and as long as she wants to do it, she can. So
who are the other two? Or did you just mention them?
Yeah,
So are they all doing Mystic U, or they're doing?
No, those are just 2 colorists that I like.
Oh, okay.
They usually the only people I usually work with.
I see. Currently, you're working with Jordi on this one.
Yeah.
Are you working with them on anything currently?
Well, Alan is the Battlepug colorist.
Fantastic.
And he's done a lot of my DC stuff. So
okay.
That's how we met. He colored a lot of my Green Arrow stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And Mark was longtime Revival colorist. So.
Okay. I haven't asked you about the Arrow TV series. What do you think? Because I know Cupid obviously showed up, and that's one of your co-creations.
I haven't kept up with it, but I've had 3 or 4 characters that I've created on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been paid for it. They finally paid me for it.
Good.
Because for a couple of years they weren't, and I had to bring it up.
Good.
But they did pay for it.
I literally just this week talked to Denny O'Neil.
Yeah.
And he, same thing. I'm like, are you being? He's like, yes. And in fact, he told me he's got Howard Chaykin's lawyer.
Oh yeah. Well, okay.
There you go.
Well, Chaykin doesn't really wait around for anything. So.
I felt much better.
Like you feel nervous when his name is mentioned.
I love Howard. He's awesome.
I talked to him a lot in Mexico a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's terrific.
Well, like a month ago. So.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Oh,
he terrifies me, but he's interesting.
He's fascinating.
Yeah, he's fascinating is the word. He's fascinatingly terrifying.
Well, but I like a lot of the same old stuff that he does.
Oh, sure.
So
like you can keep up.
Yes, and I'm sure Jim Terry, who's
with me, it's like waiting for the moment that he decides that I don't want to deal with this guy, and he cuts me with a switchblade or something.
So we bonded over the Bob Hope biography a couple years ago.
Sure, yeah. I can't hang. I can.
I'm a novice. I mean, I'm a student. He's the master. But yeah, I'm happy to be in his orbit and go. All right, I know that one. Yeah. I did read that. Okay, good.
Yeah,
hilarious.
He's an interesting guy, and I grew up with him as a very formative years of mine when I was like 7th grade reading American Flag when I shouldn't have been.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I always loved that about that. You really First Comics was literally like one of the first publishers that you discovered.
Yeah, well, they were until I was growing up in Jackson, Tennessee, and there was a bookstore that sold First Comics, and I did not know there was anything besides Marvel and DC. And I read those, and I was like, holy crap, they say bad words in these.
Oofta, badger.
Oofta, I say that every day. That's like a part of my language now.
We talked about that years and years ago that you, that was one of your first pro gigs, obviously working with Mike Norton.
Yeah, it was my first program.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I was 14 years old, loving Badger and Nexus, and I don't think anybody else in that area of the country even knew what those were. A lot of people don't now know what they are.
Of course, now being in Chicago, the shadow of where first was in Evanston.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of one of the cool things about coming up here is that, now I, am friends with people that used to work there, That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, really. Alex, and I'm forgetting Alex's last name, who was like their art director and everything. Yes, Alex Wald, absolutely. Certainly Tony Akins and everything, and
and Jill and Brian were with Kamiko and stuff.
Yes,
so,
Azzarello and Jill Thompson, yes, absolutely.
So it's interesting.
Have you talked to Ostrander about...
No, I've never actually ever talked to Ostrander.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah.
And but
his imprint is indelible.
I love John. I love talking to John. He's great. I love the thing he and Jan Duursma, they were so great on all their Star Wars stuff. They had a Kickstarter for like a sci-fi thing that they created. I never
saw that.
It's good. It's really interesting.
Oh, cool.
So, Mystic U, and you're halfway through that.
Halfway through that.
Battlepug, things are going fine.
Yeah. I mean, I had big plans on making 2017 the year of Battlepug, and I managed to draw one issue. I haven't really followed up on it. I'm gonna start working on 2. And then we'll put out a new series. Right now, it's looking like it'll be a different publisher other than Dark Horse right now.
Okay.
So, but we'll see. I just got to get it all worked out. My problem is I keep saying yes to other jobs because I have another one that I'm doing after Mystic U that they told me I can't say yet.
Okay.
But I'll tell you once we stop recording.
Fair enough. I understand. Well, as always, I don't want to mess up anybody's marketing plans. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it's theirs, not me. I mean,
of course. Well, yeah, but still. Yeah, I understand. And also, that's good. No, I'm glad the jobs keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm never going to complain about having a job. It's just that I made this, like, high and mighty plan at the beginning of 2017 to do my own stuff, and then I never did any of it. I was just actually talking to Sean about that today, so I was just like, I need to get on myself about it.
Okay. Because, it doesn't hurt when a guaranteed paying gig obviously comes through.
And it helps keep you in people's minds.
Yes, sure. Working for a DC or Marvel project, absolutely there.
So, I mean, it's steady income and it's good publicity, but it's luckily I try to do projects that I really want to do. Like I did a little 8-page for Mr. Miracle that comes out in January.
What's that in?
It's in Mr. Miracle.
Oh, is it kind of a break for Tom and Mitch?
Well, no, it's only 8 pages. It's in like a collection that has this in it as like added material.
Oh, very cool.
It's like the origin story.
Oh, that's great. Did Tom write it? Who wrote it?
Tom wrote it. Julian Lytle. And I saw Tom in DC this summer. And I was talking to him, and I was like, you know what? The cartoon at the beginning of your book, where he's watching it in the hospital, of the Mr. Miracle cartoon, that should be a story. And he's like, okay, you want to draw it? And I was like, yeah. And it took all year to do it, but I just finally did it. And it's like a little origin story of Mr. Miracle.
Oh, that's cool. What did Julian do? What did you do?
Well, Julian didn't do it. We just like talking about Mr. Miracle.
I see.
He just
you
loves
ran into
fourth
him.
world stuff.
Sure.
He's the. I think Tom's gone on record as saying he's the dark side is guy. He was like telling.
Oh, funny.
He's like he was like picking Julian's brain, and Julian's like, you know what, dark side is, and that's a Grant Morrison thing, but he's like that's when he was like trying to boil down, and so that became like an integral part of the new series.
Yes,
so.
it did. That's interesting. I had no idea. That's very funny.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a very Julian Lytle thing to say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's that book is like one of the few things that I read, and I'm like, I like this, but I don't know what's going on, that kind of thing, and that doesn't happen a lot. So I'm very lucky that I get to contribute in a small.
Oh God, yeah, that's going to be an epic story. It's interesting because I love it too, and I was talking to somebody off the record, and as much as we love the story, it is interesting because if you're not hip to the fourth world, not a good first book to give to somebody.
No, and a lot of people complained about that being the thing, and I read it and I didn't think that.
Of course, neither did I. I love it, and I feel.
I'm not.
Oh, you didn't think you didn't agree with that, or you didn't? It didn't even occur to you.
I am not the most knowledgeable of fourth world. Even the specifics of Mr. Miracle's origin, I didn't know. But reading that, I thought that he was making that stuff ambiguous on purpose because that's part of the story.
Of course it is. Yes.
Because you want this to be like a person who is finding their place in life very hazy. So you want stuff to be
confusing.
It reminds me of like all the old Frank Miller, Bill Sienkiewicz stuff, where it's like part of this is a dream, or is it reality kind of stuff they used to do with like Electra Assassin and stuff like that.
Absolutely, it reminds me of The Prisoner, the original Prisoner from the '60s.
Sure, right.
Same thing.
Of course, you would go there.
Well, I love that thing. Well, I was just somebody, a Colbert comedy writer, is like, should I watch the Caviezel Ian McKellen thing finally? And I'm like, no, don't. I'm
Is
like,
that Kibblesmith?
Yeah, it was Kibblesmith the other morning. Yes, it was Dan Kibblesmith. It was, and I'm like, yeah, don't waste 6 hours. I'm like, there are many other things you should be watching with that 6 hours.
Yeah.
And because I love McKellen and I love The Prisoner and I was so rooting for it, and it sucked.
Yeah, I forgot that existed.
Dove, did it suck?
What's that?
Prisoner, AMC.
I don't remember hating it. It was kind of boring.
All right, kind of boring is fair enough. All right, that's
Was
close.
the original boring, though?
No, the original was intense. And again, it's watching it now. It's like watching 60s Mission Impossibles now.
Yeah.
I mean, Barney is crouched over the safe trying to crack it for 20 minutes, whereas on Alias, it's 3 clicks and they open the safe. So from a pacing standpoint, but I think this new Prisoner tried to incorporate a lot of modern ideas and kind of confuse the mess in a way that the 60s show was very, as much as it was a mind fuck, it was a lot clearer in each episode's intent.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
I think that can happen when you have the benefit of not having a lot of stuff just in general in the time that The Prisoner came out. So it is a more clean and concise thing for it to be weird and trippy.
Yep.
And now you have people that grew up on it, so they want to try and not necessarily explain it, but be influenced by it. And then by doing that, they just make it more muddy and more confusing.
Yeah. You know what was a good Prisoner adaptation? Dean Motter's 80s graphic novel Prisoner sequel.
I thought you were going to talk about Terminal City.
I love all of Dean Motter stuff, Mr. X and Terminal City and a lot of that stuff. But when it was called Shattered Visage, and DC published it.
Oh, I remember that.
It was
I never read it.
Very worthy sequel.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Very worthy sequel.
Oh,
absolutely.
Cool. Michael Lark drew Terminal City, didn't he? A very different looking.
I didn't realize that. That's amazing.
I think it was Michael Lark.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I'm gonna have to look for that then. That's another reason to because when I was reading it, I didn't realize that.
It's much more like curvilinear. It's not as heavily photo referenced.
Sure. Sure. Both guys, by the way, I need to get on Word Balloon sooner than later. Michael Lark
sure.
and Dean Motter.
Sure.
And Michael, God,
Get real people on there.
Well, and I've had Brubaker and Rucka a million times, and shame on me for never having Michael on. So,
and it's basically the Bendis podcast, right?
well, my show, it is the Bendis. The B in Word Balloon is Bendis,
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is the Brian Bendis podcast featuring Word Balloon.
That's true. I am really flattered that when he talks about Word Balloon, he's like, "Well, my podcast, I'll talk about it on my podcast." I'm like, "That's fine."
I didn't know he did that. That was a joke. A joke.
That's his podcast platform, as far as he's concerned, is his conversations with
That's
me.
cool.
It's ridiculously
Come talk
nice.
to me. You're his Stern show.
Yes, I really am. Yes. When his MRSA infection and everything, he's like, "I promise I'll tell the whole story on Word Balloon." I'm like, "Okay, thank you. That's awesome."
There, those are your big ratings coming.
That's true. So, what did you? What have you thought of this year's comic book movies? Do you think you've seen them all?
I know I haven't seen them all.
Well, okay, so which ones did you see? You saw Logan?
I saw Logan.
What'd you think of Logan?
I liked it okay. I thought it had a very confusing message to it, and it ended kind of. I wasn't happy the way it ended. I think people equate brooding and dark and serious to cool and better. Like, they think that equates to a good movie, and I don't necessarily.
It's got to be the right movie.
Yeah, it looked great, and it was a neat idea, but I thought the message was very confusing because it was sort of like this, "Hey, don't follow in my footsteps," and they literally follow in his footsteps at the end.
True.
In fact, the kids are worse than he is at the end of the movie.
Very true. That's a good point. I liked it a lot. I think it might be my favorite movie of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
I just saw Thor Ragnarok, and
Loved Thor Ragnarok.
and I think that might be my favorite.
And that's fair, too, because I really did enjoy it. I'm going to have to really think about the list.
I was in the middle of drawing the Mr. Miracle Kirby stuff, and to see it, like, walking around and talking.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, it was like, it had everything from the comics that I remember, but it was also funny and entertaining, but not corny,
I agree.
which is, like, the hardest high wire to walk.
Agreed.
So that was kind of my favorite. I think it helps that Thor, I read it and I know a lot about it when I was a kid, but I don't have a lot of baggage with it. Like, Spider-Man is different. Like, I watched Homecoming and I recognized that it was a great movie, but I also walked out kind of depressed because I thought, this isn't my Spider-Man anymore.
Okay.
Because there were parts of it that is like, I wouldn't have done that kind of thing.
I hear you. No, I understand. I really like Spider-Man as well.
No, it's a good movie.
It was a great movie.
I own it. I bought it.
Oh, there you go.
There's fun stuff to watch, but it also, when I watch Spider-Man, I keep thinking, well, I would like my Spider-Man to be a better Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. People say they don't want to see the origin story anymore, but that's what this was. We get to see young Spider-Man not being good at being Spider-Man. I just want to see Spider-Man being awesome. Instead of, like, fucking up half the time.
Did you want to join the conversation, Jim? You're welcome to. Because we're at the casual part of the conversation.
Jim Terry.
Yeah, Jim Terry in the studio. Jim Terry had joined the broadcast. I feel like Harry Carey. Oh, look who's in the stands. Comic Zone Jim Terry.
Up for a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, hurry up.
It's going to be an
Dueling Harrys?
impression off.
Boy, oh boy.
I just want to watch for the rest of the show. You guys just do impressions.
Oh, let's do Harry all day. How you been? Boy, you look great.
Steve, how are you? I
Whoa.
can't see out of my left eye.
You know who'd be a great Cub? Barry Bonds. This Wrigley Field's like a bandbox to that guy.
Well, next up we've got Andres Galarraga.
How do you spell that sideways, Harry?
All right.
I had the pleasure many times in the 90s. He was, because I worked at the Score.
Oh, yeah.
And he came on our TV show, and he was at, we'd talk to him at the games, talk to him after the games, hang out at Harry's and stuff. He was awesome. Come on, John. You don't, now you got to give him more credit than you're giving him, John. And I'd be like, all right, man. He was lovely.
Steve Stone?
Yeah, Steve's awesome. Let me tell you, this guy's ridiculous. He had a Cy Young ring from winning the Cy Young Award.
Punch you in the face with
And no, he would take it off and let you put it on or whatever.
Oh.
Well, first, dude, it was, I don't know, I think it really was gold because it was heavy.
Underwear that he...
Hey, how about this, John? You want to take a little look at this? You youngsters out there might appreciate this.
What about Jack Brickhouse? You ever meet
I
him?
did, yes, indeed, many times in the 90s. Jack, poor Jack was like, very Alzheimer-y when I got to know him. His wife, Pat, was very sweet. And Mike Greenberg from ESPN and I, worked together for several years here at the Score.
What about Fraser Thomas? You ever meet him?
I have a Fraser Thomas story. Fraser Thomas, if you know your WGN syndication, over the holiday season, they ran Family Classics.
Yeah.
And also the Bozo special they made a couple years ago. You see Fraser Thomas. Fraser Thomas, big host.
You should put a preamble at the beginning of the show that tells if you don't know, if you're not from Chicago, you should not listen to this.
I understand. That's all right. I'm going with it anyway. I'm at a grocery store in Wilmette where I grew up, Chicago suburb, and it's summertime. It's really hot. Fraser Thomas is shopping because he lives in Wilmette, and literally this group of 5 or 7 grade school year kids see Fraser Thomas and are starstruck because he was the host of The Bozo Show. He was the host of Garfield Goose and Friends. He was the human with all the puppets.
Oh,
So, yeah, he hosted Family Classics. I mean, all over GN, he was kind of the family host. And they're literally trying to approach him, and it's like meeting, I don't know, I was going to say De Niro. Hey, it's freaking De Niro. We got to say hello. So they come.
Disney?
Yeah, if you will. Yeah, well, yeah, but like rock star for children's television. So they approach him and literally are trembling, like, "Hi, Mr. Thomas." And he shuts them down so fast and, yes, hello, children. Excuse me, I'm very busy today. And goes, I'm like, dude, you couldn't give 5 more seconds.
depressing.
Exactly. And just smile. Like, hey, kids, thanks a lot for saying hi. I'm really sorry I got to run, but really nice to meet you. I'm so sorry I can't stay.
Then
And go.
came up behind him and pepper sprayed.
Doody-doody-doo. Exactly. Hey, let's do a fair and square contest, Cookie.
So that brings us to the comic creators that disappointed us in 2020.
Oh, please. Did any disappoint?
No, I'm not going to do that. We're just talking
Ourselves?
Number 1.
Number 1, Mike Norton.
Myself. Every day in the mirror. Oh, man. I could totally go on with more Chicago Jags. All right, well, let's continue the list of movies. Guardians 2?
I loved it. Yeah.
Me too.
Great.
Yeah.
I think I might have liked it more. I usually will always, by default, say that I like the first one in a series more. Just by default. Even if because second ones tend to be bigger and more interesting a lot of time.
Sure.
But I will always go with the first one.
What about Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier is great.
Well, it was not from this year, but well, you're saying just in terms of sequels.
Winter Soldier is great.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I will go with 1.
Oh, really?
Although
really?
Civil War is great.
All 3 of them are amazing.
And the Civil War in comics made me stop reading comics.
Why?
Because it is the epitome of what I don't like about that sort of era of comics where everybody had to have a guy in a booth telling them what to do on a microphone. They had to be working for the government or they're a criminal. That is literally what Civil War is.
Yeah, that's the
You
conceit
work
of the
for
story.
the government or you're a criminal.
Right.
And I was like, that is not what superheroes are.
But that's what made it an interesting story. I thought that's what
of.
makes it a provocative story.
Yeah.
I know, and it's fine that you don't agree. I mean,
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
kind of what I liked about it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because I felt like that was every comic now. Every comic was,
Sure,
Bendis
Mike
being
Wells-
a great writer, but a lot of his characters is like, they work for the government now. It's like, that's part of the character. And I'm like, the whole idea of the superhero was that he...
Vigilante.
Well,
Yeah.
the beauty of that, I thought, was that Cap was the one who
Well,
worked
and he
for the
would have.
government.
Well, exactly,
And he has in the
and that's why he had
comics.
the perspective to
He's
say
set precedent
it doesn't.
before.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Trust me.
He's done it like seriously like 20 times.
Of course
in
he
his existence.
Yes.
And I think that's beautiful. I was just watching it the other day, though. I was watching it while I was drawing because I like to have stuff that I don't have to pay attention to.
Absolutely, I do that.
And I realized, wow, I really like this movie.
It's a great movie. And again, like you said too, Jim, Winter Soldier as well. I mean, they're amazing movies that happen to be
That's my
superhero
favorite
movies.
of the Marvel movies.
So that's why I really have faith, even in the misfires, that it's not going to kill the genre because of
What's not going to kill the genre?
like bad superhero movies,
No, they're not going away.
right? Or even they might
You might
well, they will.
culturally get tired of them, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
There you go. And also, obviously, we might get less now that Fox is under Disney's rules, so they might
I mean,
produce
once they're
less.
coming out every month, and like,
Well, we've already had
once
that.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is of the quality of a Civil War, then you will get tired of it.
I agree with you.
Once you're able to turn on every Friday night and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you're like, oh, it's a freaking blockbuster the way Civil War
was.
You will not care anymore.
Agreed. We're kind of getting close to that, although, again, patterns of watching because of the Netflix shows and and now Hulu as well, Runaways.
Those Netflix shows and even Runaways, which I love, are not Civil War. They are not that
Right.
good.
No, I agree with that.
But don't you think that they feel a little less special now?
Yes.
They all do. Yeah,
of course
they do.
Oh, no, absolutely.
That's why it's
Even
refreshing.
Star Wars felt less special.
Well, I was going to get to
They
Star Wars, but yeah.
definitely did. Yes.
The arc of superhero films, I keep pointing to the Western. And both from a saturation standpoint, too many sometimes, but also we're just scratching the surface of getting beyond Black Hat versus White Hat.
Yeah.
And complex, and really, Deadpool
Here's
is complex.
The reason why this is why that bothers me, and it's because I went through that whole the Black Hat, White Hat, shades of gray, anti-hero sort of thing. I went through that when I was 16 and 17, and I've come back around to like some bad guys and good guys again. And so if they're just now finding that out, and I got to put up with, it's not just that easy anymore. I don't want to watch 10 years of that.
But I also think that that's just one shade. I think we will still get
I don't know
Ant-Man
if we will. I don't know if we will.
You don't think Ant-Man was pretty much a positive, kind of straight up superhero movie?
It was.
I mean, and granted, he was a former
but they
convict.
picked the criminal one. I mean, I guess he is the interesting one, but...
That's all right. That's my phone. That's all right. Gary Price. Gary Price can wait.
But I think that if they go that way, I'm not... Like I said, like Logan wasn't my favorite movie. I mean, Wolverine's not even anywhere interesting to me anymore. When I was 16, I would have slapped you if I said that, though.
I understand. Well, and again, we'll see. I mean, I also think there's just room for innovation, and I also think
Sure, I mean,
the guys upstairs even know
make
it.
a better movie. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure they can make the greatest superhero movie I've ever seen hasn't been made yet. I'm sure.
Right.
But I mean, I like to watch them. I don't like to
Think about making them.
Yeah.
Or correct
The
them.
most uninteresting thing in the world to me is making a movie. It doesn't seem interesting to me at all. I don't like it. I mean, I'm involved with it right now.
Well, I was
and
going to
don't
say,
like
I
it.
wanted to, yeah.
I don't like that part of it.
You need to visit one of Albert Pune's sets.
I would tear it down. All 4 green screen walls. I would tear down of Albert Pune's set.
Albert Pune, for listeners who don't know,
He's a
boys,
horrible director.
who directed what movie?
He directed the 1991 Captain America. He directed Mean Guns, which I like.
Mean Guns.
Cyborg.
He directed the sequels to Streets of Fire and
I had no idea there
The
was a
Sword
sequel.
and the Sword. Yeah, that's right.
I
You
had
don't know
no,
it existed.
and I love Streets of Fire.
Also, no,
the first movie.
Yeah, if you want to continue to like it, don't
see
watch
the sequel?
Road to Hell.
Is Michael Pare in it?
Yes, he is.
Is Amy Madigan in it?
Hell no, she's
Of
got
course
better
not.
shit to do.
So, and certainly, obviously
Michael
not.
Pare's the only one sitting around.
Well, that's
going,
true.
Where's
What-
my ponytail going to get its paycheck this week?
Philadelphia Experiment 3, hopefully. Yeah. And I can understand. And of course, he'd want to revive his character from Greatest American Hero.
Great American Hero?
Poor man's Barbarino. That's the first thing I saw him
I
in.
don't even remember.
Yeah,
him
he was
being
in.
that.
He was in Ralph's high school class. He was one of the misfits. I was just watching on MeTV. They were back to the first season, and I said, "Hey, Mr. H, how you doing?" And also, of course, he was originally called Ralph Hinckley, and then John Hinckley shot Ronald Reagan.
Oh, they
so
changed
so
it?
they
I didn't know
it was
that.
the first episode where he meets Connie Selica's parents. and she's saying
Connie Selleck was
Hinckley, like the mom is saying Hinckley. That's such a nice name, such a trusting name, and it's great because they took out, they wiped her saying Hinckley, or she's like Ralph, such a nice name, and it's like okay, yeah,
interesting.
like a bad Lou Costello kind
I've
of
been watching a lot of bad movies since October, and yeah.
Which movie?
A lot of bad movies.
Oh,
in
bad
general.
movies. I thought you said that movie.
No, I've watched about.
You always watch.
No, I have, but since
Come on.
October,
Yeah.
I've been on what I call a movie marathon, where I watch like 2 or 3 a day, and I've watched about 65 movies since October 31st. And today's movie, which was
Bullet something.
no, that was a trailer by
just a trailer.
Albert Kuhn. This was like the. What was it called? I forget what it's called, actually.
Ancient. What did
Tales of an Ancient Realm.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about that.
Tales of an Ancient Realm, which, if you watch the Sword and the Sorcerer, at the end it says, so-and-so will return in Tales of an Ancient Realm.
So it's another Pune movie.
Yeah, this is the sequel.
The sequel, obviously.
4
Yeah.
years later?
40, like
Literally.
30 years later, yeah. And it is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Isn't the Sorcerer any good? I remember loving it.
No, it's not good. It's not a good movie, but it is. It's
Is it
a
worth the
fun
Blu-ray
watch.
purchase?
You're killing me.
Sure.
So how are you getting? Are you watching him on Netflix? Or are you
I'm watching them on Amazon Prime. And
Okay.
I'm watching
Yeah, a lot
them
of crap on Amazon.
and
Prime.
I'm watching
God
them on
bless them.
YouTube too.
Okay, sure.
But I watch them on Netflix and Amazon Prime and however I can.
All right, I got a good bad movie recommendation. Former early 70s TV movie, Poor Devil, with Sammy Davis Jr. and Jack Klugman. It's during Sammy's period when he was dabbling in Satanism. And that's on the record.
I know this movie.
Christopher Lee plays the devil.
I have seen
Yeah, Hillary
this movie.
Barta, in one of his true Hollywood whatevers that he did for Dark Horse in the 2000s. He talks about Sammy's Satan worshiping
I have
years.
seen this movie.
It's
And-
Beelzebub, bear.
Hey man, exactly. The big D downstairs, and let's hear it for him. Really,
I've seen this
a
movie.
marvelous demon.
I'll add it to my list. I'm trying to stay away from movies I haven't seen, but I don't remember that movie.
Christopher
very
Lee
well.
is the devil in
Yeah,
the movie,
yeah.
and it's kind of a reverse. It's a Wonderful Life, but not in the sense
Yeah.
that you're retelling your life.
No.
But he is like Clarence. He's a demon
Yeah,
trying to get
it's like
his.
the devil version of like Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah, that kind
and
of
he's a demon, and he's trying to get Jack Klugman, who is his old buddy,
Yeah.
to sell his soul to the
I do
devil.
remember that.
Hey man, I'm telling you, right on the dotted line, and you're gonna love
I saw
life.
that on one of like those like afternoon movies on Saturday
Sure,
or something
sure.
like that. I saw that when I was a kid.
So yeah, Poor Devil, everybody. It's a little blurry on YouTube, but if you just have it in the normal YouTube screen, you can handle it. And yeah, Jack Klugman.
Cataract.
What's that?
Pretend you have a cataract.
Pretend you have a cataract. That's terrible. Oh my God. Well, I'm trying to. All right. So what else? So we didn't even talk DC.
Reign? Devil's Reign. Have you watched that?
Probably. Is that the one with Alejandro Rey from?
Ernest Borgnine is in it.
No, I haven't seen that.
And it has like a star-studded cast.
No, I haven't.
What? All right. What's the? All right. Tell us. Obviously, early
John
'70s.
Travolta.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, the cult.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that one. There's one that happens in the Bermuda Triangle, and I was going to say Alejandro Rey was in it, and I want to say Kim Novak from the 70s
Is it
in
called Bermuda Triangle?
Something about the Bermuda Triangle. I can't remember.
It
But
doesn't have Houston in it, John Houston in it, does it?
No, it's a TV movie. Although
There's
Johnny
one called the
Submit-
Bermuda Triangle with John Houston. It is awful. Because
might
he
be
made
that
a bunch of those like Italian movies
Yes.
in the 70s.
Yes, sure.
And this is one of them. It's awful.
Well, it might be then. I don't know.
It's about they find this doll and it's like from an. It's real trippy at the end. It's basically the end of Prince of Darkness at the end of the movie.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's go back to 2017 superhero movies. So, did Justice League? Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
Interesting. Okay, Jim, did you see it? Wow. All right, fair enough. Because that's kind
I
of
just recently saw the Batman Superman movie.
what'd you think.
You know, when
Some things are better left unsaid.
I could not be less interested in it.
There you go.
when
Okay.
everybody's best recommendation is it's not as bad as you think it'll be, it's not.
That's
a
all you need to know.
worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
No,
have
I
a hard
agree.
enough time watching movies I want to see. You know,
Sure.
I don't really care to watch it.
All right, fair enough.
No, I think that if it was on YouTube, you would have seen it.
I would have seen it if it was
Sure.
available like that.
Sure.
Yeah, of course I would have seen it.
So,
It's going to a movie.
Last Jedi?
I have conflicting feelings about it. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a movie for me.
I felt the same way. I liked the movie a lot.
There are things
I
that
wish there was
I
more Luke.
personally
Yeah.
would have changed in that movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of older fans feel that way.
But I also feel like I get lumped into a certain section of people that hate the movie because it does not express their particular extended universe fan fiction
Right.
view of Star Wars
Right.
that I cannot get down with.
And I agree with that. I mean, my simplest review always was, I liked the movie a lot. I wish there was more Luke in it.
Well, that's what
And
I
that's,
I
you know,
said
that's
that
the easy way.
early on, I was like, the movie felt like it was afraid to spend the whole time with Luke and Rey, which for me was the best part of the movie.
Agreed.
And the rest of it just felt like stuff that they had to think of stuff to do with these characters while that was going on.
Yeah.
Because that is a like Star Wars kind of storytelling
Yes.
is you have to have this A story and B story
Totally.
in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
But if you want to make a movie that's not like a Star Wars movie, just make it about that then. Make it Luke and Yoda and Dagobah for an entire movie. That's different. They haven't done a Star Wars movie like that.
I agree.
Instead of trying to shoehorn this other stuff in. But there's stuff in there that I thought was amazing. And stuff in there that made me cringe. So
I like it.
it wasn't like Force Awakens, but Force Awakens was designed for a specific purpose, which is, hey, remember this? So
Dove is walking. See you, Dove.
he's got Miyazaki to go watch.
I understand.
Which one? My neighbor Totoro.
Wow,
Cool.
He's a box.
nice.
Later, dude.
Yeah.
Be well. That's...
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it either.
I've never seen it either.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I was kidding about him. I'm sure he's
Oh, he's seen it a lot.
800 times.
Yeah.
It's cool that it's at the Music Box.
Yeah, they
Give
got
the correct title again for people who didn't hear
My
it.
neighbor Totoro.
My Neighbor Totoro, for everyone now listening.
I saw Hard Times at the Music Box.
Coburn and Bronson.
Yeah.
Great movie. I love that
Walter
movie.
Hill.
Yes.
Oh, that was the Walter Hill weekend?
Where he's
thing?
bare knuckle boxing and stuff and just decking people with one punch.
And then,
That's such a great 70s
Just
movie.
like Streets of Fire, the sequel,
Walter Hill, yeah.
Road to Hardest Times, was by Albert Pune.
Oh my God. Wouldn't it be great if that's what he's doing now? He's just making sequels to movies that he had nothing to do with.
That's
and
awesome.
it's just like, oh, please don't do that.
We got to find Albert Pune and do
Did
a
Albert Pune make
film
Streets of
festival and
Fire?
Q&A. No, Walter Hill did.
Walter Hill did.
Yes, of
That's
course he
right.
did, yeah.
Why did he make the sequel?
Because nobody else wanted the gig. Because
Did Walter Hill even produce it or anything?
that's
I
a
don't think
really
he had
good
any-
question.
No,
Probably not.
All of Pune's production companies come up before. I don't think Walter Hill is like.
So are they not official sequels, or
I
they
think
are?
it actually has a credit that says "Don't tell Walter Hill" at the beginning of it.
After seeing that Walter Hill director's cut of Warriors, I wouldn't be surprised if he did hire Pune.
But
Yeah,
I
he's
do
like,
want to see the
that-
movie.
You're
I
right.
really wanted to
I do want to see the movie you made with Michelle Rodriguez that got a lot of heat.
that's
And not
boxing
positive
movie?
heat. Yeah.
Amazon now.
It is streaming on Amazon? Okay.
What was it called?
The
Is it Catfight?
Assignment or something?
No, it is like The Assignment or something.
Oh, there's a boxing movie she's in.
That was the first
Rodriguez.
one she was in.
No.
I think
That was another Walter Hill movie that she's
Girl
in?
Fight is what it is.
that was like the
That wasn't-
breakout role.
And that wasn't Walter Hill, though, Girl Fight? No. Okay. Because I know that, unfortunately, Walter Hill made a horrible prison boxing movie with Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes. Not Grudge Match. What was it called?
That was Stallone and...
Yeah, and De Niro. That was horrible. Oh, God, shame on me.
You want to fight me?
I'm right here. You're not going to fight me? You're not going to fight me? Come on.
You want to fight at me? What am I going to do?
You want
Oh my God.
Let's get the short guy to promote the. Let's get Kevin Hart. It's a horrible movie. And then there's Alan Arkin. You want me to train you? I'll train you. All right.
Oh my
I
God.
love Alan Arkin.
What is
Who
happening?
doesn't love Alan Arkin?
My favorite Alan Arkin moment is when he scares Audrey Hepburn.
Wait until dark.
Wait until dark.
That's what's brilliant about Alan Arkin. He was actually a bad guy and an amazing, you know.
One of my earliest
in-laws.
memories. I saw the stage play version of that on
Wait Until
HBO.
Dark. Okay.
Before I saw the movie.
Oh, funny. I
Isn't
wonder
that
who did
weird?
it. I wonder who did it.
Weird.
Well, it is a play. I mean, I
is
have
a
seen it
play.
as a play, sure.
Yeah.
So
And I forgot who played the two roles, but it wasn't Alan Arkin. I remember when I
Ruth
saw the
Buzzy
movie, I
and
was like-
Charles Nelson Riley.
I remember,
Oh!
I remember seeing the movie and thinking, Alan Arkin's way scarier than
Yeah,
the
man.
guy in this.
Oh, yeah. I still haven't seen his Inspector Clouseau.
Alan Arkin's?
He made the second movie. Sellers and Blake Edwards both either Sellers turned it down or both he and Blake Edwards turned it down. And are like, yeah, the script isn't good enough.
You've seen The In-Laws.
Of course, that's his consummate role.
That's the only one that's
Peter
the one
Falk,
I
yeah.
remember when I was a kid.
Now, I haven't seen Going in Style with Michael Caine and what's his face, Morgan Freeman.
Not
and
easily enough.
Yeah, I know. It's late in the day. If you got me in the morning, you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. From The Trip,
Yeah.
when Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan are battling Michael Caine's. I haven't seen the third movie yet.
I haven't either.
It's on Netflix.
I'll watch that.
Third Trip movie.
Is that the one with Peter Fonda?
Yes, exactly. It's they take LSD
Albert
with him.
Pune made it?
Hello, I'm Roger Moore, and right now I'm tripping on LSD.
Those movies are great, except that, it's like 2 hours of really funny stuff, and then it ends really depressing.
Yes, it does.
It's like, why do they do that?
I don't know.
Each one of them does that.
Have you watched the miniseries, which is basically the expanded versions of at least, I don't even know if they made TV series of the second two, but I know the first one.
Oh, they did.
It was
yeah.
six
it
half
was
hours.
on TV while I was in England the first time.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a long time ago.
That's cool. Hilarious. Any stream, both of you are consummate stream movie watchers. Is there anything new? I haven't seen the
stuff.
Well, that's
so
true.
I don't watch new things.
I haven't watched the Will Smith Netflix movie yet.
I get conflicting messages about it.
Me too.
Have you seen Wind River yet? I think that's streaming on Amazon.
No, what's Wind River about?
It's my banner movie. Waving my banner around. It's by the guy who wrote Sicario and Hell or High Water.
Cool.
Taylor Sheridan. He wrote and directed it. It's about a death on a reservation.
Cool.
Investigation.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, Julie's been trying to get me to watch that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty heavy, but it's
That's got Jeremy Renner in it.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just thought it was going to be like a Bourne thing when I saw him on that thing.
No,
Jim, I've tried to get you,
It's good.
as you know, I've tried to get you on when I used to do Scene Missing to talk about old movies and movies that you like because you're a consummate film goer. So.
Well, you'd really have to get Hill.
Well, and yeah,
I'm like-
Hill's been on.
I'm like
Hill's
a
done it.
backup. I'm
Yeah,
like a
yeah, but
appreciator.
no. You're better than you think.
Hill
I'm having
Oh,
is
dinner
a
maybe
good
with Hill
game.
tomorrow night, I think. I think we're going to a taste of Szechuan tomorrow night.
Jim and I like to not argue about movies.
Discuss movies.
Jim takes movies more serious than I do.
I do.
Well, that's all right. That's good. Well, and honestly, I get angry at a failed superhero movie because I'm like, okay, guys, this isn't day one
Well,
anymore.
no, that's the thing. I don't
So,
like.
I get high
comic book
expectations.
movies. I don't get my fur up for anything. I don't care. It used to be like when I was a kid. I always goes back to when I was a kid. I cared about this stuff when I was 16. I'm 44 now.
Sure.
And I feel like anybody that does get their fur riled up is maybe ought to grow up a little.
Well, but it's not
See what
about.
he says? The
It's
kind
not
of
about.
abuse I take.
Yeah, but it's not about if your presumption is when I get my fur up, it's from a continuity standpoint. It's not. It's just a quality movie standpoint.
No, you're right, and that's the heat I'm taking about Star Wars.
Sure.
It's like people people
Yeah.
hear that I don't like Star Wars, and they're like, "Oh, you must just not like diversity in your Star
Yeah,
Wars
yeah.
movie and stuff like." He's like, "No,
Yeah, that's not it.
have more of Rose in the movie.
Sure.
Just give her something to do. Have her do
do.
something important. I want more Finn and Rose. I want more of that. I want it to be important, though.
I hear
you know
you.
what?
Yeah.
I just didn't like the stuff that I saw, and I feel like that with I just Jim has had part in making movies before, and I think that's an important thing to distinguish.
What part have you had in making movies, James?
No, not really.
Well, what did you do?
I just wrote stuff.
So
you've written screenplays?
Nothing that's ever really been made though.
Have they been optioned? Have people bought these screenplays?
I've been told some of them have been optioned.
have you seen
But
said
that's the
check?
thing. He has he's interested in that part.
Well, on the craft of writing a screenplay, and sure.
And I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I watch them as an entertainment form.
Sure.
So it's much easier for me to make fun of this stuff, and I don't think he can.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not true. It's just that I take everything too personally.
Well, that's so weird because you're joking all the time. That's so weird to me that you say that because nobody jokes more than you do.
But I also take movies very seriously because I think that since they can be a transcendent.
I think that's true too, but I don't think there's anything that's not worth making fun of.
Yes, I get weird about that.
Okay, see,
Yeah.
but obviously everybody else thinks that too, because that's the reason why you can't make jokes about.
That's how
things.
it should be, but I would be a hypocrite if I made fun of everything.
I agree.
There were things I didn't get.
And that's why you have integrity. But I'm just saying, it's like a long time ago, I used to take the world too seriously, and it tore me up inside.
Yeah.
And I changed, and I was like, it is great when you can just find the ridiculous thing in everything.
Okay.
Your life is so much better, and most people can't do that.
All right.
And that's why you have people getting fights on the internet all the time.
Oh, please. Yeah.
And just in general, and even us who are friends, we see different things in movies, and I'm like, yep, it's either good or it's bad, or I'm going to make fun of it. And he's trying to find the perfect movie.
Well, we both agreed on 2049.
Because it's a great movie.
Later.
But I could have come out of that and gone, I can find things to make fun of in that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure you
But if
could.
I did, you would go, that's not funny.
I would take it personally.
Yeah. But I love that movie. I came out of that movie going, wow, they made a movie that's probably better than the original. And
Have you seen it yet, John?
I have to embarrassingly say I have not.
You should be embarrassed.
I am. I truly am.
As a personal.
I understand, because truly we talked
How
about
many
this
times have you
movie,
seen
and
it
I
in the theater,
I
10.
don't want to say.
it's not in the theaters anymore,
It's
unfortunately.
less than 10 times that I've
Okay.
seen it in the theater.
Well, but still, that's great. Well, but it's I get it. Ridley
I spent
Scott and
almost an entire day
watching that movie.
Entire Earth Day.
Several showings in the same day.
No,
Oh, okay.
but if you combine the time.
Oh, I see. Okay,
I
because
did that with Attack of the Clones once. And
we saw it the whole day.
I saw it 5 times in the theater on opening.
Wow, you win because
And so I feel like anything I say about Last Jedi, I am justified.
I understand.
That's the worst one.
It is literally the worst one. It is the worst one.
I agree.
And guess what? I know a lot about Attack of the Clones. So when I say Last Jedi is a lot like Attack of the Clones, I know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yes, I am Master of Cypher.
The movie I saw more than once in a day was not by choice. I was 5 years old. It was Patton.
Oh my God.
Yes. My sister was 10. I was 5.
You see that movie more than once in a year's time.
It'll scar you. I know. Dad was working my dad was working the early shift at his restaurant. He and my uncle really wanted to see it. They had to watch the kids.
Saturdays when my family would get together at dinner time and watch The Great Santini.
Exactly. No, it was, believe me, he had no idea how violent it was. We watched the whole movie. We waited for my father through the second showing. He didn't show up. My uncle had to go, so he gives an usher money to watch my sister and I. My dad comes at the end of the second showing and goes,
What?
do you mind if we, I really want to see the rest of this movie? 3 times, Patton.
Oh my!
We went in, it was bright sunny day. When we left, it was dark out.
3 hours long?
Yes. It was 9 hours in the theater.
Oh my
Seriously.
God.
And my sister and I,
Daycare.
for 30 years, had a pact. We will
George C.
never see
Scott
this
was your
movie
name.
again. And I knew it was such a great movie. Franklin Schaffner, Coppola wrote the script. Well, I was curious to see it because of all these of course, C. Scott. And I finally broke it in like 2004.
What do you think watching?
It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Yeah.
Okay, movie.
No, it's you know, when you put your hands in the pile of goo that used to be your best friend, or however it goes. Oh my
I
God.
watched. We sat through Raiders of the Lost Ark twice in a row.
That's a great movie. But that was a great movie.
Yeah, I went with my mom, and I've said, "Can we watch it again?"
The only movie I've ever done that with is Attack of the Clones. And honestly, at viewing 4, I turned to my buddy and I was like, "Why are we doing this?"
Was it when 3PO's head was being dragged? And
No,
he said,
it was like
drag?"
it was right before we went into it. And like after the fifth one, my friend was feeling embarrassed that we kept showing up to this movie theater. So he got a friend of his. He asked them if he could take his kid to see the movie as an excuse. So we had collateral damage. We made little kids go with us.
Oh my God. Horrible.
I was like, ugh. I don't know these kids. Why am I going to see this movie now?
This is a new side of you, Mike.
I tell everybody. I've seen that 5 times on opening day, and I've seen Howard the Duck 4 times in the theater.
Jesus. Oof.
I was 12 then.
All right, yeah, exactly. It's forgiven.
What's a movie that you've walked out of?
The only movie I've walked out of ever, and I've finally since seen the entire movie and I still walked out, was To Be or Not to Be, the Mel Brooks remake of the Lubitsch classic, because it was so stupid. And I was very proud of my girlfriend, who's like, looked at me and said, anytime you want to leave, I'm fine. I'm like, great, let's go, because it was so bad. And especially compared to the original, which I'm sure you know is this Lubitsch classic, it's amazing because it's Jack Benny, you see, and it's like the most subtle Jack Benny performance he ever gave on screen. It's a great movie. Lubitsch was, Billy Wilder, Lubitsch was his master, and like whenever he would make movies, he'd be like, how would Lubitsch do it? Wow. And yeah, Lubitsch was a virtuoso, and I love Mel Brooks. But it was one of those life stinks. It's more in the life stinks category than it is Blazing Saddles or anything. It's pretty bad.
I think I walked out. I almost walked out of The Hunted with Christopher Lambert.
Hilarious.
But I did.
But you didn't. But you stayed all the way through Fortress, I'm guessing, with another Christopher Lambert movie.
Did that ever make it to the theater?
I don't know. I've seen it on cable. I only saw it on
The Hunted
cable.
was in the theater. Yeah. But I did walk out of Inland Empire.
I don't know. Inland Empire.
David Lynch film.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Laura Dern. It's like 3 hours of montage video clips and stuff, and I'm doing it a slight. I've since watched it, and it's not bad.
Okay. I still haven't watched the Showtime Twin Peaks.
I haven't seen it either.
So
Mike is in the washroom, but
yeah, I can hear him upstairs right now, clomping around.
That movie was shot on video. It was one of his first ones that he shot on video.
Oh wow!
You could tell it was video, and I was feeling ill that day, and I was at the music box, and there's like an air conditioner blowing right out.
Oh sure.
I'm not gonna make this, man.
Did you see? And it's amazing now because I guess they did yank it down from Netflix, and I understand why. But that 3-episode arc of Louis, the Louis C.K. show, where the whole story was he might replace Letterman doing the 10:30 show, and they give him a producer to kind of get in talk show mode, and it's David Lynch plays the producer.
I've heard about it.
It's hilarious.
So have they yanked all of Louis?
I guess so. That's what I haven't really checked on Netflix.
I don't think it's because of that. It probably just expired or something.
No. I really do think it was the scandal that pulled it down. I really do, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of think everyone is afraid. That's why it'll be very interesting to see how Kevin Spacey movies, because I still see them currently on cable, much in the same way that The Cosby Show was still running on certain syndication networks and cable networks, even though the scandal was at its peak.
Well,
you see.
This scandal thing is very. It's amazing that Louis' stuff will be taken off of Netflix, but we still have a guy in office who.
I'm with you. No, obviously that's the great irony.
Outrageously
I need to be
cops-
taken off of TV because of my scandals. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
No, I was
don't
just
want
telling.
anything to talk about
We were
that.
talking about David Lynch's 3-episode arc on Louis when he was the talk show producer, trying to whip him into shape to take Letterman's job
On Louis the.
on the FX Louis show.
Yeah, I only saw a couple of episodes of that show.
It's a shame because
Yeah.
it could have been an independent film, this 3-episode arc in itself. And yeah, it was an incredibly ambitious show, but of course his scandals have made his, stuff hot. And I was just saying, it'll be interesting to see once whatever current contracts are running where we still see Kevin Spacey movies. I mean, Kevin Spacey was in a lot of movies. And it's going to be very interesting if people,
A lot of very popular
yeah, obviously Usual Suspects
money-making, yeah,
and,
American Beauty.
American Beauty, certainly. That's a really, when he is like a lead like that, what do you do? Yeah, does that movie
I mean,
suddenly
that's an
become...
Oscar winner, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is. Absolutely. So, no, all these scandals, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how that affects the viewings of these film in the future. What cable channels choose to show and not choose to show.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be more interesting to see what their career trajectory
Sure.
have any.
Well, yeah, will they have an act two? Because even Mel Gibson in that Step Brothers sequel or whatever the hell it was,
Yeah.
it was
Daddy's
interesting
Home.
because what was it?
Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home, excuse me. That's right, Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. Yeah, it was weird because a couple of critics were like, hey, Mel Gibson's funny, and we're immediately smacked down. Oh, Mel Gibson? You mean that Mel Gibson? And it's like, yeah, sorry, never mind.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like,
I
those.
don't know. I still watch The Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Sure. Hey, man, get the Gringo. That's post-scandal, and it's an excellent movie.
It's like
Bloodfather was good.
Didn't see
a
that.
lot of those people a lot of people in the art that I've read, absorbed, seen, heard, are probably awful people.
Yeah, yeah.
But they made me who I am.
I understand that, too.
You know.
Yes. No, it's complicated.
You know.
I get it, man.
That's a tough thing. I mean, like we've all met people that were our heroes.
Jimmy Page locked a 13-year-old in his dungeon.
Yes, exactly.
So.
Yep. Ty Cobb was a piece of shit. But he's an all-time baseball great. Pete Rose, not a great man.
It's kind of like, trying to be vegan.
In what way?
It's like it's really hard
Okay.
to try just stick to the
Program.
yeah.
All
It's
right,
like
then.
if
You
you
have to cut out anything.
you got to
that's
cut
not-
out
that's harmful.
everything that's
Even
just,
hamburgers?
trying to be vegan is essentially what we're trying to do now as a culture, and it's like it's going to be real hard, guys.
Ooh, I like that.
And there's not going to be a lot of flavor in it.
Yeah,
That's-
probably won't be.
Just like being vegan. That's hilarious.
And in saying just by saying that, people will take offense. And
Of course they will.
think that I'm arguing for assholes, and
right.
it's not true.
No.
Vegans will be pissed at you though.
Oh,
Well,
please.
well, fuck those guys.
Oh.
I would be if I could. I would be if their food fucking tasted better. If I could eat an Impossible Burger every day, I would probably, I would be on their side, but I can't do it. But I'm not an asshole.
No, you're not.
But I have consumed asshole stuff.
Sure.
John Byrne is not a great guy. I'm sorry. John
Yeah,
Byrne,
yeah.
I know he's not listening.
No, clearly not.
But he is
Genius.
He is a certified genius.
Agreed.
And I owe my career to his artwork.
I understand.
I owed Star Wars and John Byrne and John Romita are the reason that I am alive, why I do what I do.
I'm with you.
And
Well,
John Byrne's an asshole. I'm not turning any of that stuff away.
I'm with you.
I even got into an argument with somebody, a very well-known comic book legend. I got into an argument with him about Will Eisner,
Yeah.
who I had never heard anything bad about. But this guy had something bad to say about Eisner. Mostly about his business
Ebony what?
dealings.
Oh, about his business dealings.
Yeah. Ebony, I think some people understand the
Time period.
yeah, but But no, this was about what a cheapskate he was, and he cheated people out of this and that, and stuff I had never heard before.
Yeah.
Even from people from his stable.
Sure.
In interviews, nobody had ever said anything like that. They'd said he was cheap, but never that he was cheated. But so it's like, well, that's that guy's idea about how things are. Is it going to diminish my feelings about Eisner? No.
I agree.
Or his work, I should say.
Right.
Yeah, the work. I mean, the fact of the matter is, how much do we actually know or care about the people that make the stuff we love anyway? You know what I mean? Like growing up,
It doesn't poison things, so.
It sort of does. It sort of does. But everything that I thought I knew about Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher when I was growing up, I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
It was all in my head.
Right, but
and still, even if you hear something on Entertainment Tonight, you don't know anything about them.
No.
In fact, you only know the worst thing about them.
Well, and I was going to say, a lot of times I like having, especially the older creators, and in fact just did with Denny O'Neil. We talked Batman, but Denny really wanted to talk about his life.
Yeah.
And I really was excited about that. And I'm like, go, Denny.
Something that nobody knows anything about.
Right, and that made it interesting for me. And that's why I do find sometimes when you find out about an artist or a creative person and their life experience in a positive way, because it informs their art. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's valuable. But I agree, if all you're hearing is the shit.
That's the double-edged sword.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's what I knew about John Byrne growing up. He was English and grew up in Canada, and what he looked like because he drew himself and everything.
Yep.
It wasn't until I got to be an adult that I learned all this other stuff about him.
I agree.
It's like that. I mean, it didn't influence me. It didn't change me. I mean, in fact, if anything, I mean, you look at his comic book work, and it's like more progressive than anything. It's just like, if he's an asshole, it's not showing on his pages.
I hear you. No, I understand.
So,
well, no, I like where this conversation has gone. Jim, is there any current projects that I can help you plug while we're talking?
Well, just keep an eye open for Trash Bridge whenever that starts.
Is that all you, or are you collaborating with somebody?
Steve Seeley and Ryan Brown are writing it. And
I'm fun.
Illustrating it. Yeah.
Excellent. Is that going to be an image book?
Not sure where.
Guess what it's about.
Trash Bridge. I don't know.
There you go. Guess we don't need to spend that money on advertisement like we were planning.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to the announcement and when you're ready to talk.
It's like the best '80s movie that was never made.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's certainly a favorite milieu of all three of you.
The ones made by the Italians, except it's good.
That's awesome. Okay. No, that's cool. Very good. Trash Bridge. It's post-apocalyptic in some ways, I'm assuming? Futuristic.
Yeah, it's very good.
Would Robert Ginty be a proper person to cast in a Trash Bridge movie? Isn't it Robert Ginty? Isn't that his name?
Which one is that?
Okay.
Oh, no!
He
would be in it. He was not the star.
Okay.
I don't like that mumbly mouth freak.
Executioner?
Yeah, the Executioner and the Paper Chase. And,
yeah, because I know Robert Ginty from the Paper Chase.
Warriors from the...
Deep?
No, Warriors from the year... I forget what it is.
Oh, I know which one.
Warriors of the Wasteland or something like that.
Yeah.
They had a motorcycle that talked to him.
Hilarious. All right, that's awesome.
This would be more like the Peter Weller, like the second movie Peter Weller's in.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are wrapping up 2017 for me, so thank you.
Yay.
Good conversation. Happy New Year.
Go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nobody liked this year. I'd be really surprised if anybody liked this year. I mean,
it was a rough year.
I mean, I have no complaints, but that's kind of like the whole it's kind of like a statement in itself that like I'm not being affected by anything.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my career's great, and I go outside and nothing affects me, but I see that it is.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's terrible.
Well, we're middle-aged white men, so we're kind of lucky and everything. So.
Yeah, but it's not great for everybody else.
No, I know Jim had causes that he certainly was frustrated by this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, that,
You know.
and that's one of the things that I was donating to. But
There you
it's
go.
like I mean, it just didn't go great for everybody else. So
No, I
I
understand.
think it's funny because last year at the end of the year, everybody's like, "Screw you, 2016," and then they were like, "2017's gonna suck," and guess what? It did.
And it did.
But I don't know if people hopeful for 2018.
Well, I think they're hopeful for possible
hopefully
political.
for like almost a year from now. Is what
Exactly.
they're hopeful for.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Still got to do like 10 months of this damn comic strip.
I'm sorry, buddy, but I think based on
Everybody, I hope everybody buys the fucking collection when it comes
man.
out. Otherwise, this is going to be a big experiment in futility.
well, and that's kind of why I would strike while the iron's hot and get that first volume out
it
there.
should
You know
be
what I
like,
mean?
What's the Wheeler guy that got his,
Shannon Wheeler?
Yeah, he got his book out real quick.
Oh, I didn't know.
Shannon Willis.
Probably, yeah. Too much coffee, man, and
He did, he published his Trump's tweets in Illustrated.
Oh, that's very funny. I love Shannon. His stuff is great, and I've met him a few times in San Diego. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
So
It's not an exercise in futility.
no,
It's a
Well-
daily reprieve.
I get that people like it, but I don't enjoy doing it, and it is actually getting in my way
of your
now.
other work, yeah.
Yeah, it is actually preventing me from making money now.
Well, then that's why the volume needs to,
Yeah.
Trump the first year, Lil Donnie the first year, or
I'm
Lil Donnie year
going
one.
to call it, the first volume will be called Executive Privilege.
Good.
Is what
Very
I'm
good.
calling the first volume.
I like it. All right. Well, there you go. There's a good scoop for Word Balloon. All right, guys. Well, let's hope 2018 is a better year. And thank you for closing out the year with me. And always a pleasure. And looking forward to our next casual conversation. So thank you.
Well, more shows ought to be like yours.
Well, that's really nice. Thanks, buddy.
That's true.
How about that? Mike Norton, everybody, and Jim Terry. Great way to close out 2017. Thank you very much for listening to today's Word Balloon. It was brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you, League, again for your support. If you want to contribute and subscribe to Word Balloon, you can do that at wordballoon.com. Click on the Patreon ad or go directly to patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you again, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by In Stock Trades at instocktrades.com. I want to look at some Mike Norton product at In Stock Trades, but I also want to point out, man, I can never talk enough about Mark Millar's run on Superman Adventures. It was based on the cartoon, but I got to tell you, some of the best all-ages Superman stories ever. Mark just knocked it out because, like every great creator that takes on some of these all-ages books, forget about the all-ages, just tell a great story. And Mark was able to do that in this Superman volume. 240 pages of goodness. Allure Amancio is the artist, and it looks like those great cartoons of the 90s of Superman. Dave Michelini also doing some writing over here, and Mike Manley and Terry Austin among the artists. So really great stuff. 45% off, $10.99. As far as Mike Norton product at In Stock Trades, you can get things like The Curse was Mike's 24-hour comic book event, and the graphic novel of The Curse is available 30% off. It's just $10.49. Volumes of Battlepug are available. Volume 1, 45% off, $8.24. You can get Volume 3, Sit, Stay, Die. That's 70% off, $4.49. You can also get Devil's Biscuit. That's Volume 4, 45% off, $8.24. Paws of War, Volume 5, 70% off, $4.49. You can get The Answer, a great book that he co-wrote with Dennis Hopeless, and he drew himself, a superhero that he created for Image. This book, Dark Horse, shame on me. It's an original Dark Horse hero. 45% off for the trade paperback of The Answer, $7.14. So, of course, volumes of Revival, him and Tim Seeley. That's the movie project that Mike kind of alluded to in our conversation. No movement yet. When there is, more hard data, certainly I'll touch base with Tim and Mike and find out what's going on more. But, of course, Jenny Frison covers on the Revival books. But a lot of them are 45% off. In fact, all of them are. And various prices. You can get trade paperback volume 6 for $8.24. Oh, excuse me, this is the hardback volume 4. That is 45% off, $19.24. So lots of volumes of Revival and other great Mike Norton product available at instocktrades.com. Check it out for yourself. Great books at great prices. If your orders are $50 or more, you'll receive free shipping from instocktrades.com. Thanks again for listening. 2017, last words on it. What can you say? It was a rough year. I think both from a just, kind of culture standpoint, and certainly the big two had their ups and downs. It was a big year, it seems, for DC. It was a rough year for Marvel. A lot of bad publicity, a lot of bad choices that I think some of the public didn't take to. But we'll see what happens in 2018. Things close out with my buddy Bendis jumping from Marvel to DC, and then getting hit tough with that MRSA infection. He's on the mend, though, and he'll be back, and I know he'll bring his stories to Word Balloon, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of information from him as 2018 descends. But I already have a couple great 2018 interviews in the bag that I can't wait to share with you in the week ahead. So keep coming back to wordballoon.com. Check your podcast subscription fees for the next installments. Until next time, Happy New Year. Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2018.